can see, I got all the wires marked. For instance, this is 1, so that's 1. This is 2, so that's 2. 3 is back there. This is 4, and then you see 4 right there. A couple bulbs fell out before I was able to see where they go, but that's alright. I have this picture diagram right here that I could reference, and when I'm done restoring this instrument panel, not only will I put 1 with 1, I'll also recheck it to make sure that the wire color matches. So that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna start cleaning it up and seeing which bulbs are broken. I'm gonna swap all the bulbs and get started. Got it all apart. Next is to grease and wax the background carefully around the needles. And if you look closely, you can see the original color, which is like an orangish red, but this is hidden, so you couldn't see that and the sun didn't hit it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Testors red. It's like a model paint, and I'm going to paint that. So I'm going to grease and wax it, and just paint it. And then I'm going to grease and wax the background. I'm also going to get some new bulbs. I'm going to compound this plastic. And I'm obviously going to get a new bezel too. So that'll be it. The cap's kind of screwed up on this, but there actually is grease and wax coming out of there. So I just want to clean it up before I start putting rubbing compound on it. Now, as you can see, it's pretty clean. Now, time to clean this. And as soon as I'm done, I'm going to go get the red model paint for this, and the instrument bezel, and some bulbs, and I'll put it all together, and I'll show you what it looks like. So I went to Sacramento Mustang, and I got my instrument gauge bezel, and as you can see, in comparison to the old one, it's nice and chrome and clean looking, whereas this one's dull and old and ugly looking. So that's a major improvement there. Also painted these knobs flat black to match the flat black in the bezel. And these are originally supposed to be chrome, but the chrome was dull, just like it is on the bezel. So instead of paying $20 for a new one of these, I just went ahead and painted it black. So my next step will be to clean up all these areas with the Q-tip, and also with the Q-tip grease and wax the needles, because as you can see, they're all faded, and we're going to paint those. And I'm going to use Americana Gloss Enamel. You could also use Testors paint, which people use for model cars and stuff like that. That works great. But I'm going to use Americana Gloss Enamel. So let's get started. I put a little grease and wax remover on to the Q-tip. Now I'm cleaning these little holes where the bulbs go. So I got the needles painted. I'm going to give it about 10 minutes. I'm going to put another coat on. And I'm going to let it dry. And then I'm going to put it all together. And it'll be done. I also got some bulbs. I was going to go with the LEDs. But the guy at Sac Mustang gave me some advice. And he told me that the LEDs are so bright that they leave little blotches, and you can tell exactly where the bulbs are, and I don't really want that. And that was great advice, because that wasn't an upsell, because these bulbs are a lot cheaper. These are only $8, the LEDs are $35, so that was nice of him to tell me that. All done with the needles, and I'm going to leave this cardboard that's sitting behind the needles in there until this dries. I don't really want to be handling this while it's wet, because say if I have one little slip up and it causes paint to bunch up at the end, how am I going to get that off, you know? The needle's really delicate, so it's best to let it cure and then handle it, so I'll do that. So here we got the completed version. As you can see, the needles are all red. It looks brand new. The finishing touches will be brand new screws, so we don't want to use the old screws. And then I'll throw this in with the new bulbs. But I have plenty of work to do on the dash. I still have to paint the jambs, and when I paint the jambs, I'll paint the dash. Put the new dash pad on, put new knobs on, and that part will be finished. The Volkswagen from hell, 1971 Volkswagen. I put it all together. I also welded this in right here, battery tray, and I fixed all the electrical when it came in. Didn't have brake lights, had one intermittent tail light, no flashers, no hazards, and to fix that I had them order a turn flasher, and that took care of the hazards and the turn signals. And we also got a signal switch, and that gave us brakes. There was also a problem when the parking lights were sharing a fuse with the right tail light. The right tail light was intermittent and weak because the parking lights were hogging up all the power. I tested them for a short because they kept blowing fuses, and they said there was a short, so I replaced the wires, and it still tested for a short. So that told me that this is pulling too many amps. The bulbs are right, the filament was switched around wrong, so I switched the bulbs around, and it was still blowing a fuse. So at that point, I put it on its own fuse, and I put the rear taillights on their own fuse, and that helped the situation. And the funny thing was, is when I was done, I get it all connected and it's working, and I tighten this down, tighten that one down, and it blows another fuse. And what happened was, the lead to this light right here unplugged, and it was grounding to the housing, so it created its own short and blew. But as soon as I took care of that and plugged it in and tightened it back up, it's good to go. Also, the hood was catching down here and it wasn't opening, so I had to push that in, and the hood was laying right here, so I had to push that out. And I did that because I saw that there's some damage in there and it wasn't pulled out all the way, so I fixed that. Now it's time to fix the horn. The guy moved the horn location to right here and he used this thing. So what I have to do is place it back into the steering wheel column. I do that by looking closely at the turn signal switch I can see this is the horn contact, and I can see this brown wire is what connects to it. So I follow that brown wire all the way to the third prong, and that would be right here. See the brown wire in the connector? Follow it up. And it's right here. This is the brown wire. So he cut it somewhere. I don't know where he cut it because it's a mess back there. But I found this wire. This is the power he's getting from the fuse to the horn. So what we're doing is we have to reconnect the signal into the steering wheel column. And this is the wire that he had going to the horn that he put in. So I'm going to cut that wire, and I'm going to make a connection and connect it to this so it goes back into the steering wheel column, and it should work. Now that I got it loosely connected, I have a ground that I jumped, and I have the turn signal cam plugged into the horn. I'm going to see if it works. Here's a Nissan Rogue that just came in. Apparently had a tree fall on it. And I'll be mudding this roof. Yeah, right. Getting a skin. So the first thing I did was take out this trim right here. Take out these grip rail moldings, because this is where the seam is. And I also took out the rear door hatch, because as you can see, the panel goes like this. So we got all the welds exposed apart from the glass. The glass guy has to come because the other welds in the front are right on the windshield, right under the windshield.
There's commercials on the TV right now, and I find this so stupid, where they use that ugly Morgan Law stuff in the Is Warren Buffett really in arrears on his he acts like a baby when he's
So we got the roof in here. and also put on the rear hatch to check the gap. And the gap's good, so we're ready to roll. Now that we got the roof in and the rear hatch fits, I lowered the curtain bags so they're away from the weld zones. Now's a good time to also take out the battery and let any residual currents drain for a good 40 minutes before you start welding. So I already have the battery out, so I don't have to worry about any residual drain. So now I just got to lay out the welding blankets. Okay, I want to show you a little trick here. Sometimes when you do this, you actually won't have all the room to do a plug weld. So what I do here is, you can see this bottom part is, there's metal underneath, but just say if that metal wasn't there and it was void, what you do is you start your plug weld right here. You do a half moon and you go back. And by that time, most of this will be filled, and then you'll have enough molten in there to complete the circle without creating a big hole. Okay? All done with the welding. Now I'm going to clean it up, seam seal it, prime it, paint it, get it together. This plug weld will be covered with primer. This one will be covered with primer. This one will be covered with primer. This one will be filled with filler. So that's basically how I grind them down till I leave the outline, so it looks like a factory plug weld or spot weld.